And so we're now recording. And so today's meeting, we've got a guest speaker coming to us from Willamette University up in Salem, Oregon. Her name is Lexis Camacho. She's a HOSA alumni from Petaluma High School. So she is now in her junior year at Willamette. And so she's going to tell us a little bit about what it's like up there and what she likes about her school and her campus. And then at 2 o'clock, we have a scheduled virtual meeting and tour with some admissions folks at Willamette University. So we'll get to hear from the people whose job it is, right, to make sure you know everything you ever wanted to know about their university. So we're going to get a little virtual tour, and that's at 2 o'clock. So can you guys all see, I put it in the chat, there is a link for the Willamette tour. And I'm going to copy and put it in there again, because I don't know if you can see it if you came in after the fact. So I've just pasted it into the chat again. So at 2 o'clock, you'll click that link to go to the virtual tour that we're going to be participating in. Okay? All right, we have a quick warm up for you all. Let's see here. I had it a minute ago. Megan, do you still have that handy?
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to be the one who runs that one?
Sure, I can, but I don't have the list. Which one are we doing?
So we wanted to do, okay, so here's our little warm-up activity, you guys. This is just to get everybody kind of engaged. This one's called Remember When, all right? So for this one, what we're going to try and do is we're going to try and tell a story it's in the past, all right? And so what we're going to do is the first person's going to start off by saying, remember when, and then they'll start the story. So it could be something like, remember when we all went to Hawaii, or something like that. And then the next person would continue the story by saying, yeah, and then, okay, so here in the chat, I'm going to put down the list of names of who's going to go first. So we'll start with our officers, and then we'll get everybody else. Is Olivia joining us, Tess?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't.
That's all right. She might have stuff going on. Okay, so I'm putting your names in order into the chat, and then we'll get started. We'll see what kind of an awesome story we get. Okay, so who am I missing? We don't have Lexi yet. All right. Okay, so what we're gonna do is Megan's gonna start us off, and so Megan's gonna start us off with remember when, and then everybody else will start it with yeah, and then, and they'll say like another sentence or something. All right, do you guys understand what we're doing? Yes. Okay, so Megan, why don't you go ahead and start us off?
Remember when we went surfing in Hawaii?
Yeah, and then I fell off my surfboard and almost drowned.
Yeah, and then we had to go to the local hospital.
Yeah, then there were lots of doctors and nurses there.
Yes, and then we met a crazy woman.
Yes, and then the crazy woman turned out to be Lady Gaga.
Yeah, and then we all got to speak to Lady Gaga.
Yeah, and then she signed our hands.
Yeah, and then we got concert tickets. Yeah, and then Ms. Judah borrowed her meat dress.
Awesome. Oh my God, and you know I would wear it too. So good. I love how that took a turn into healthcare and then went right back out again. That was awesome. Very good. Nicely done, everyone. All right, so without further ado, Lexis Camacho, we've invited you to come on and join us in HOSA today, because we would love to hear all about what it's like to be a college student, and specifically to be a college student at Willamette. So thanks so much for joining us today. Yay!
Thanks so much for having me. Yeah, to introduce myself again, I'm Lexi Camacho. I use she, her, hers pronouns. I'm a junior at Willamette University. I'm majoring in exercise and health science, and I am about to complete my minor in chemistry, which is very exciting. I'm taking my last chemistry class until med school, which is the plan after this. Goodness gracious. It's a very small school. It's small, private, liberal arts, but we have, like, it used to be you could only get a BA if you went here, but they've just added getting like a BS, a Bachelor's of Sciences. So I will be getting a BS, which is awesome.
So what's the difference, if I might jump in, so between the BA and the BS at Willamette?
I don't really know. I have just been told that I want the BS. I think it looks a little better on like applications.
So typically the BS means that there's some kind of research component attached to it. Whereas the BA is usually more like the classes and stuff like that. So that's typically what is meant, but it's different in different universities, so it varies.
Great, yeah. I have done research here. I've done 2 research projects so far. I'm about to get started on my 3rd one. One of the really great things about this school is there's a lot of opportunities for students to work with professors and help them with their research. So we just got like an email blast from one of our professors over the summer that was like, hey, I need a couple students to help me do some research, learning about flexibility from being like a gymnast in your childhood. And like, would anyone want to help? So people are doing that sort of thing. There's a lot of like really good close relationships you form with your professors because it is a small school. Our population's about, heck, a little under 2,000, I think. So really that's, I think, an exceptional benefit, those close relationships. I was doing a research project last year, and my professor, who was my general anatomy professor my freshman year, and last year my advanced human anatomy professor, he like heard me like playing punk music in the physiology lab, and he like popped his head in and he was like, oh, is that bad religion? And he like came in and like listened and like sang along. So it's very adorable. You know everyone really well. I also am a member of the Willamette Emergency Medical Services. I joined the first semester of my freshman year. I had to get my EMR certification to join, but we go on call on weekends, and we have 24-hour shifts, and if students get in any sort of medical or trauma situation, they call us, and we come to the situation. We assess the patient, care for the patient, and if we need to transport them, we call Salem Health and we get them transport to the hospital. That's been a really valuable experience for me. I've done around 400 hours of service for WEMS so far. I'm a supervisor since last year, so we always have a medic and a supervisor on call. And the supervisor takes patient history and goes through like basically our chart and records everything. And the medic takes measurements. So I'll have someone with me and I'll ask for a a pulse, respiration rate, that sort of deal, and take it down. And the main difference is that the final transport decision is up to the supervisor, and the supervisor writes up a call sheet and sends it to the physician that oversees us. I think it's quite fun. Last year I was on call for 42% of the calls, which is too many, but no one else wanted to take shifts because you do need to stay on campus for the duration of the 24-hour shift. And most of our calls, the hot hours are like midnight to 3 a.m. So a lot of people don't want to give up that time. But it's cool. We get to drive a golf cart. I've only crashed it once, which is fun. Yeah, that's a lot of it. Does anyone have any like questions or specific topics that they would like me to delve further into?
I have a few questions, some
Sure.
of them kind of all over the place. So first off, your last name is any relation to Miss Camacho?
She is my mom.
Okay, just wondering. And second, so you said your major is in,
Exercise and health science.
so what exactly is that? I haven't heard a lot about it.
It's similar to like a kinesiology major, but it has been expanded in the last couple of years to have more of an emphasis on human health as opposed to just like exercise and physical nature. So the classes that are required are, I've taken general anatomy, I've taken physiology. We have some special topics classes within the major that we can do, which include like nutrition, epidemiology. Right now I'm in assessment of function in aging, which is very cool. We're working with a lot of seniors over like Zoom personally, which is fun. But yeah, I picked it because it was very like hands-on and person focused, and there's a lot of different, you can do any major and go to med school. A lot of people choose biology or biochem or that sort of thing, but I didn't really want to do like the plant area of that because I don't find that as interesting. I wanted to very much focus on like human health. And we also have a public health major if policy is more your thing.
Anybody else have questions? Tell us about the town of Willamette.
Oh yeah, so we're in Salem, Oregon. It's directly across the street from the Capitol, which is exciting if you're into public policy or poli-sci or whatever. A lot of people get internships there. And on the other side of the street, we have Salem Health, which is the hospital, which is also awesome because we get a lot of opportunities through that. I got offered a job as a scribe at Salem Health. I didn't take it this year because COVID is a thing and I'm kind of trying to stay careful. But it's been super valuable for other people. It has a very walkable downtown, kind of similar to Petaluma. There's a lot of really great like small places. Everything closes early, like Petaluma, so that is a little annoying, but there's like one diner that's like open until like 2 a.m. or something, so that's like where all the students go. It's nice if you like hiking. There's so many hiking opportunities. I led a hiking program for the past 2 years and it is wonderful.
Awesome. Anyone else have questions?
I have one. What have you done like research on besides the flexibility?
Sure. So my first research project was about, goodness, what was the title? It was about childbirth and like the process of labor and looking at the relationship between muscle tone and duration of labor and like the rates of vaginal tearing or laceration during the process of childbirth. So because of COVID, I didn't actually get to carry out my presentation like in the field, which sucks, but I wrote up my whole project. I got fake data from a professor, which was sad, but I learned how to do all the background research, how to come up with a research project, how to talk to like hospitals and see if you can like get in for research, which is great, and write it up that way. And my other one was on progeria, which is a genetic condition where the body physically ages about 8 times faster than normal. So people are typically born lower birth weight. They only reach a height of about 3 to 4 feet. They usually don't grow hair, and they experience a lot of problems with loss of bone density. Hips are usually a big thing, hip displacement and arthritis early in life, and the life expectancy is usually to around 13. So I was looking at treatments and some promising genetic testing that's happening right now.
I have another question.
Sure.
So, what classes did you take at Petaluma High that you feel best prepared you for going into the medical field in college? Like, what classes would you recommend our underclassmen take?
I loved anatomy with Ms. Yanis so much. That was really valuable because, so she does anatomy and physiology kind of jammed into one. And when I got to college my freshman year, I took anatomy, and I already had like a leg up because she makes sure you know every single bone. And you go a lot deeper into the content because you need to know like all the individual parts of every bone. But just having that leg up was so nice. And I got to like sit back for a little bit. And then it also transferred to when I took physiology my sophomore year. And I already had like background information on some of that. And she will talk to you about the phospholipid bilayer, which is helping me in biochem right now. So like that class has helped me over and over again. I never took chemistry at Petaluma High, and I really wish I had, because I felt like I was kind of just thrown into the fire when I started chemistry in college. And it worked out fine. I'm fine now. I'm in biochem. I'm doing great. I have my minor, but if you can take it before, recommend. Ms. Camacho's class is very fun, not to plug my mom, but she did teach me dimensional analysis, which you use in like every science class ever. And she makes fun of me every time I'm like struggling with it. Oh, another really great part about Willamette is other schools, if you're in like a major, a lot of times it like limits you to other things that you can access, like other programs. But at Willamette, like I'm only in STEM for like my declared major and my minor and stuff, but I'm also in the chamber choir, and that's been like delightful for me. So you can still do like music, and I'm in like an a cappella group, which is very fun. It's exactly like Pitch Perfect. So there's a lot of opportunity to like cross over into other things that you're interested in.
Nice. Other questions for Lexis?
I have more.
Go.
Sure.
Go.
So you said you took anatomy, and I'm assuming you've taken probably multiple anatomy classes. What's the most interesting / what's been your favorite dissection?
Ooh, okay. So that's another massive benefit of Willamette, is we actually get into the cadaver labs our freshman year. A lot of other schools, you don't even get to do that until like maybe your senior year. But the way we do it is we have our lecture where we learn things, and then we have 2 separate labs, and one of them is more in-depth, like learning in the cadaver lab, and then the other part is like basically a weekly test, which is so fun. But the most interesting thing that I've seen is we had a cadaver last year, and it was an older gentleman, and he was very heavy set, and his heart was about 4 times the size of like a regular heart. So one of the things we did in advanced anatomy, which is like a 300 level class, we don't get to see the cause of death for the cadavers, and part of the class is like you try to figure it out as you do the dissections. And that was really exciting because we noticed like he had a barrel chest situation, and his atria were like super, super dilated, and like the side of his ventricle was super thin. So we were like, oh my goodness, these are all like super typical like COPD, like chronic obstructive pulmonary disease symptoms. So we were able to like diagnose that, and we got to see his chart, and like we were right, and it was really exciting. But we've also had like one of our females that we got, she had a knee replacement, which was exciting. And we just got one that we were dissecting the spine, and we don't know what we're gonna find until we open them up. And we found like a little metal box on like the base of her spine. And our professor was like, okay, nobody touch that until we know what it is, because I don't want like anyone to get like shocked or anything. But we had to look it up, and it was like this device that relies on what's called gait control theory. And it basically stimulates your sensory nerves for people who have chronic pain, so that those little sensory stimulations, they travel on nerves that are myelinated, so they're coated in like a sheath that makes the impulse travel faster. So that vibrating signal reaches the brain before the pain signal, because it's a little slower. So it kind of beats the pain through the gate, so to speak, which is why it's gate control theory. And then your brain is more distracted by the vibration than the pain. So that was so exciting. And one of the classes that I took is actually completely just guided by whatever we find in the cadavers. So we don't know what we're gonna learn until we're inside them. That was very exciting.
That's super cool. We got time for probably one more question, if anyone's got another question for Lexis, and then we're gonna have to head over to our other link.
What are like your favorite and most hard classes? Because I'm kind of thinking like kinesiology for my major.
Yeah, sure. My favorite class ever was advanced human anatomy, because I loved general anatomy so much, and it was just like a lot deeper into it, and it introduced me to like embryology, which has actually become my favorite topic I've ever learned about, and actually guided my like career goal. I want to work with pregnant people. I think that'd be fantastic, and that was just so much fun to learn about. So that was my favorite class. And I think maybe not least favorite, but the hardest one I had to take was physiology, because the labs were really like intense. There was one where we were testing blood count. We did like complete blood count and typed each other and everything. And we had to get kind of a lot of blood out of each other for it. And that was like a little difficult. I did faint, which was embarrassing. but there's like a lot of little things that are very technical. We also had to dissect frogs, but they need to have like their muscles as fresh as possible. So we had to kill them there in the lab. But if you're in my mom's class, there's 2 frogs in her room, and they're both my frogs that I took from the lab. So those are also Willamette alum.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much, Lexis. This was super awesome. And would you be open to fielding more questions if people think of a question later, or maybe a student who watches has some questions? Can I share your email with them so that they can get in touch with you if they got more questions?
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, enjoy. It's so much fun to see our alumni going off and having a great time and doing so well. So thank you so much for joining us and for sharing. This was really awesome. We really appreciate it.
Everyone's in high school.
Yay. All right. I would like to direct everyone's attention to the chat. There is a link there. It says access virtual information session. And that link will get you to our Willamette virtual session where we're going to meet with some admissions counselors and hear more about Willamette, the university. So those of you who are able and interested, go ahead and dive in on that link. I'm going to head over there as well, and we'll check it out. All right? I'll see you there.